A famous property baron in America was asked what he thinks about the property market and what he thinks the predictions of the property market's going to be. And his answer was, it's been a very good property market the last 100 years, and I think it's going to be a very good property market the next 100 years. That was his answer. Here's our property predictions for 2020.
Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Billy.
Another episode. I'm feeling good this morning.
What's happening?
We just sang. You were saying, I'm ready to roar like a lion, get into it. Big weekend.
Pretty pumped.
Yeah.
Nice weekend. People are out. Weather's good. Christmas is coming. And the question on everyone's lips, we all love talking about the property market when we get together socially, but what the hell is going to be happening in 2022? What are the pros in real estate think?
We've seen, you're right, socially everyone's talking about it. There's discussions in the office. We're talking about Christmas. We're talking about finishing up nice and strong before the end of the year. Where should we start? What do you want to start on?
Rentals first.
Okay. Stock levels are definitely down. There are
massively.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is it's 1/3 our normal offering that we've had the last 5 or 10 years, the amount of stock we carry as an agency, or for instance as the Northern Beaches carries, it's 1/3 of the stock on the market for rent. Low stock.
Very low stock. Morning, Jeff.
Jeff Levy.
Hope you're well.
G'day, bud.
Yeah, stock levels are down. People are definitely still looking to move. We've not seen people, shy of putting in vacate notices and finding something that's not working, find something that's better for them, which is interesting because you'd think as we come to Christmas, people would want to sit tight.
You'd think so, yeah. Well, with rentals, you've still got about 2 to 4 weeks to get set in, maybe 5 weeks to get set into your property for this year. With sales, you're leaving it a little bit run when you're considering got a 6-week settlement. But property prediction 1 that I've got is that rentals in the next 12 months for 2022, rentals will be up dramatically as much as 30% to 40%. The rental market will surge. Residential.
That's huge.
Huge.
How's commercial been, Mark?
Commercial rentals, very good. Particularly out the model that I think you've got. I think CBD rentals. I was talking to a CBD agent the other day. They're back about 15% CBD residential rentals from their glory days, and haven't come back yet. But certainly on the Northern Beaches of Sydney, up. The commercial rentals are like everything we've had. Again, stock levels. We were carrying 130 properties for rent. Now we're carrying about 45. That's a change in 18 months. Who would have thought COVID would have been kind to commercial rents? Commercial sales, though, still quiet, and my prediction in 2022 for commercial sales is that they're going to start bumping along and doing well, and commercial rentals, we're going to start bumping along and doing well.
Yep. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about houses. We've seen huge growth, massive.
Scary. Actually, really, really scary. Can I show you something?
Yeah, let's do it.
Look at those numbers.
They're all in the green. They're all going up.
Okay. So let me explain this, ladies and gentlemen. On the Northern Beaches of Sydney, which is probably this trend is consistent with other parts of Sydney. Brookvale, 54% in 1 year. 1 year from the median price, the value went up 50%. Let me do it in simple dumb numbers. Half of your property value just went up. So if you're in a $2 million house, $1 million is how much you made in the last 12 months. It is incredible. Now you may think that's Brookvale, but let me read out some other ones. Colorado Plateau, Collaroy, Beacon Hill, Narrowena, Cromer. All of these guys have done about the 50 to 55% capital growth in only 12 months.
Yeah. Do you have the numbers there for apartments?
I do. Before I move over to that, I want to bring people's attention to something. When you're looking at the numbers, this is one of my secret tricks that I've learned over 30 years of real estate. I look at a thing called a rolling average. A rolling average is how that suburb's performed with all the sales every year for 10 years. So it's nice to look at stuff when you read stuff in the media as quarterly or in the last year, but I love looking at that market long term. Before I answer your question, Billy, the rolling 10-year average for most housing suburbs. This is across a lot of suburbs in Sydney, by the way, but particularly on the northern beaches. The rolling 10-year average is between 200 and 215%. What does that mean? A property that was worth $500,000 10 years ago is now worth $2 million. It's doubled and doubled again. That is a 200% growth. So, Billy, to answer your question, what have units done? I want to tell you what houses have done to finish off on that, and then it's going to start drawing a conclusion that I've drawn for 2022. So when you look at houses and consider, and I'm happy for anyone to throw any other suburbs at us because this is a live show, so throw me in any other suburbs if you want to know the data on them right now. But 200 to 210% for a lot of housing suburbs. They've doubled twice in a 10-year period. What have units done in a 10-year period, Mr. Billy Boy?
They've obviously come up, but not quite in the capacity of houses. So our prediction, based on these numbers Mark will give us very shortly.
Our prediction for 2022 with units is that they are going to, let me do the numbers first. You're right. So units, rolling average for units, rolling 10-year average for units, 137%.
So still amazing. You've still doubled your money.
Not really. Nope. You haven't. Don't forget, 200% is doubling.
Sorry,
130, 100.
Yeah. No.
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. You've doubled once, but not doubled twice. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. So if I look at units and I look at a rolling 10-year average, remember what I said about a rolling 10-year average? Actually, just answer some questions first from Steve. Steve's saying, how are people able to pay? Wages aren't going up. Well, I've got to say something about wages. Employment, every single person I speak to that owns a business is crying at the moment with staff, particularly in hospitality. The amount that people are paying in hospitality to have someone move around a cafe is absolutely skyrocketing at the moment. So I reckon wages are definitely on the rise. But what you've got to remember is interest rates are a third of what they used to be. So holding on to that property or upgrading that next property is still a lot cheaper. Billy's all over the numbers, says Luke. And Luke wants to know about Blacktown. I did say that you can throw a suburb at me, so I'm going to pause for a second and give you that answer. But Blacktown numbers, and guys, you're gonna love this. I'm glad you brought up Blacktown. That's a good one. Blacktown. Here we go. 10 years. Okay. Blacktown, 10 years. In 10 years, Blacktown houses have gone up 137%. 130%. So, Billy, you're good maths. If you bought a property in Blacktown for $1 million 10 years ago, what would it be worth now?
You've doubled your money, but only the once.
At least.
Yeah.
And a little bit more.
You know, that's still pretty amazing, though. I think we're talking about numbers here, like 200% in 10 years. I don't think we can consider that normal. So you've got to look at it.
It did it in the 80s. In the 80s, it did it. It did it in the 80s, in 83 and 87. There was a double and a double. So that did 200% in the 80s.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. It really is. But it's not a reason to not say that the surrounding areas have done very well as on top of that.
Yeah, Blacktown's done well. A lot of areas have done double and a little bit. Now, back to units. One thing that I've established when I'm going to talk about my property prediction, and I'm going to back that up with, that's why I've given everyone these numbers right now. One thing that I've established is that houses in our areas have done a rolling average. I'm going to explain that one more time. A rolling average. So over 10 years, if a property has gone up 200%, if you gave me $1 million 10 years ago and I put it into a house and it's gone up 200%, that would mean that I'm going to give you back your $1 million and I'm going to give you back, that million is going to go up to, it's going to double first. So I'm going to give you back 500,000, then it's going to double again. It's going to go $1 million. So it's doubling twice if it's done 200%. That's incredible. Now, units across all of the Northern Beaches suburbs have only done between 120 to 130%, whilst houses have done between 200 and 210%. Why?
It's a great question. We were saying people love their pets, don't they? I think space.
Why have houses?
People love their pets. I think space has been a key factor to that. Yeah.
COVID, working from home. People are the importance. People put less importance on office space and more in the CBD, and more importance on office space under their nose in their own home, which has made sense because they're not traveling. They can maybe spoil themselves a little bit, buy a house, buy through a bigger property, and off they go. So I reckon for 2022, we're going to, house prices are going to level out. Guys and girls, they've done 200%, 210% in the rolling 10-year average. 200. It's out of. I don't think there's much more growth for houses, to be honest. But I do think there's a good opportunity for units to play catch up. And I do think that units, when you look at our rolling average, units have only performed at 130%. I think that's a difference of 70% between houses. There's never been a difference between, in 50 years, the growth of units and the growth of houses has always been similar across the Northern Beaches of Sydney. Now, I'm saying that because generally the Northern Beaches of Sydney is, it's a pretty consistent suburb. It's a pretty good balance of stock. There's not a lot of new stock coming on the market. There's a good balance between units, houses and commercial. But that model does work with a lot of parts of Sydney. And if you want to send us the suburb that you're considering, we can do a live run on it and let you know. Now, Steve's got a question as well, Billy. Want to read that out?
Yeah, rates have gone up. Market can't keep doing this. Banks are tightening lending rules.
What do you reckon?
I was talking to another one of the sales agents in the office about banks tightening lending rules. His opinion was that it's not quite as tight as everyone's making it out to be. What do you reckon, Mark?
Yeah, look, I think they're modelling pretty low numbers. So when you used to go to get a loan, they're modelling you and restricting you to a 6, 7, or 8% interest rate, 9 or 10% when rates were higher. So I think the simple fact is that they're modelling you on a lower base. That's going to get you more money. I do agree in most part what Steve's saying. I don't think there's much more room with houses, because houses again have done like a 200% growth in a lot of the suburbs around us. So I reckon that gap between units and houses, I still believe there's going to be catch up with units. Billy, you've just bought a unit, and you're on a pretty much an apprentice an apprentice sort of wage, or for you. How old are you?
Yeah, 18. You're right. So it is doable, and that's in the eyes of the bank as well, which I initially struggled to believe.
Yep. And yeah, I think for capital growth, that's our predictions for 2022, guys. I think we've wrapped that up nicely. So in a nutshell, we think residential rentals are going to surge hard. They may be the biggest winner in 2022. I think commercial rentals will go up. I know that they've been trending that way. Commercial's been very quiet for a couple of years with rentals and sales, and it's surged. Commercial rentals, commercial sales are going to do well as well. We also think houses are going to probably pause because they've simply hit 200 to 215% capital growth over 10 years. That's double and double. And we believe units are going to match houses because the units have been lacking in growth compared to the houses, and the units are going to make up that gap that they've got. So, for instance, in our area, Billy, there's a gap between 1.3 million up to 2 million. It's a no man's land, and I think units are going to close that gap up, and I think houses are going to stay where they are in price.
Yeah. One more question. Do you consider garden apartments will command a premium going forward? You had a really nice one in DY recently, Mark. Beautiful.
I did a story on it on my Facebook with garden apartments. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, there's definitely a huge attraction for that. Like you said, there's sort of the top end of the market has really gone through the roof, and now there's this big gap. Mark calls it no man's land. There needs to be something to fill that. And I think you're looking at the answer right here. A big 3-bedroom garden apartment, that's almost as good as, for some people, a house.
Yeah, and it's more consistent with that COVID. The reason, don't forget, guys, and Wendy, don't forget that I've got a bad connection with Wendy this morning. Sorry, Wendy. Don't forget the simple fact why houses have performed better through COVID. It's because people have that necessity for more out of their property, whether it's a study, an office, a bedroom, or just that little bit more, because they're at home more. I think a courtyard unit definitely offers that. If you want to get more out of your property, if you want to simulate your property to be more like a house, well, a courtyard will do that. Not only that, but a courtyard will do children when a young couple have their first and second child, and also if it's a single mum, they can do a courtyard unit if they're going half with house proceeds. And also, if you're a retiree, it's the natural progression to get a courtyard unit, because you don't want to get anything too small when you sold your house down. But that's a show.
That's it. Big week ahead.
Yeah. Big week. Billy, thanks for this morning.
Thank you, Mark. We've got another good one coming up, guys. We're going to talk about population and where that's going. So stick around for another one, maybe tomorrow.
tomorrow. And also, can I just shout out, today's episode was brought to you by Inspect AU. These guys wrote to us. We did an interview a year ago with Vic Larusso, greatest auctioneer in Australia, does the radio weather as well in the helicopter. Vic and I were talking about the cliff. Do you remember this? The cliff of COVID, that there was property prices were going to bust when we came out of lockdown second last time. And people were worried in September last year the property market was going to shit itself. Vic and I did a piece called What's Happening with Auctions, and they wrote to me, I think, Mark, this is one of the greatest masterpieces from Novak. I remember this so vivid, the conversation about the market going down and what's going to happen. We nailed it. We got it right. And then they said, what do you think about 2022? Can you do a piece on that? And I told them we're going to do today.
Wow, I feel privileged to be involved, Mark.
Hey, see you, legends. See you, buddy.
Ciao.